Hello everyone. So I'm going to go live today on YouTube to share with you the newest little painting that I made in my Inner Circle membership where I go live about 9 times a month. So this is called Masterpiece Monday, where we create a little more detailed painting. And I went into in depth on how to create tone in your painting, how to create a light source, how to create delicate branches, moonlight, light from a subject, and all other kinds of fun details. Now that's a little bit more advanced, and that was for my Inner Circle members. But today I'm going to show you a really quick way that you can make a ghost painting. And I'm just going to use my little leftover paint that I have from the painting you just saw a minute ago. So I'm going to grab a slightly smaller canvas. Hold on a sec. So I'm going to use this little 5x7 panel and just show you a really simple way to create a ghost in acrylic. So let's get a large brush, and I'm just going to take black paint. I'm going to paint my whole canvas black. Let's try and save my pad a little bit. Let's just get the whole canvas black. So this is going to be a black underpainting. So of course I want my ghost to stand out and look really cool. Okay, let me hold it up so I don't get paint all over my new table mat. Okay, now while the black is still damp, actually let me put this down here for a sec. I just want to keep while it's wet. So while the paint is still damp, I'm going to take a little bit of white, and I'm just going to add a little bit of a blur to the middle. So I'm going to take a little bit of white. I'm going to add a little foggy area to the middle and blend it out into the black wet paint. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit more white. I'm going to just start streaking in some distant trees, or the space between the trees actually, just to get some little bit of light in the background so we can create some interesting shapes in the front. Okay, so there's our distant, our background, and a little bit of highlight in there. So I kind of made the background a little more gray by adding that little tiny bit of white. Okay, now while the paint is still damp, I can still even continue with I'm going to use a medium-sized brush, and I'm going to use some raw sienna, and I'm going to create some little brown, leafy, fall forest floor. Now, since the paint is wet, it's still going to mix with the black and just create a little darker brown. So just mix that into the bottom, keep it kind of brushy. And you can add some of that burnt sienna also up into the trees. You can add a little bit of brown in the trees just to add some little bit of color up on top. And then down below, to add just a little bit of light source, I'm going to take raw sienna and just create a little highlight in the middle of the forest floor. Just a little raw sienna. I'm going to brush it out and tap it to keep it kind of broken up a little bit, like it's fallen leaves. Okay, so now that I have a little bit of glow to the bottom of the forest floor, I'm going to add some straight black trees on the side. So I'm going to use straight black, and I'm going to come up, I'm going to come up the side and make sure I have some branches kind of coming into the center of the scene, coming up, just dragging my brush sideways, creating some distant trees along the side here, just with a little squiggle. Some branches. Very light little squiggly branches. Drag it down for some distant trees. So adding lots of interest to the background with just some simple little strokes. And then some big black trees in front. Get some big wide trees along the sides. Okay, so now I'm going to blow dry this so that I can paint my ghost. Okay, so now that it's blow dried, I'm going to use a new clean brush. And I'm going to start adding some white, but I'm not going to add it full strength. I'm just going to keep my brush a little bit damp in water and use a little bit of white and a tiny, tiny bit of black, just to keep it a little bit lighter. And oops, what did I get there? I get a little smush on my painting here. Well, I'll get that out. Okay, and I'm going to put my little ghost right in here. Like he's coming out of the forest. And I'm going to give him some little trailers. I want him to have some little fabric kind of coming out. So do you see how he's kind of transparent? And we can give him little wisps. And I'm going to give him a little arm, so I want to be holding something. So I'm just going to give him a little arm like this. And then the other arm's going to be kind of down. So I want to just create a little suggestion of him holding something. So I'm going to put a little brighter white, adding the white gradually and with some wispy streaks so that it looks like he's kind of transparent and a little see-through like a ghost would be, right? Using just the soft touch of my brush to build up those whites. You can make him as wispy as you want him to because it's your ghost. I like the kind of like transparent little tendrils that kind of come from the ghost. It looks like it's just coming out of the forest. Now I'm going to get straight white, and I'm going to paint straight white on his face so that that's the brightest. On his arm. And maybe get a little bit more brightness in the middle here. Just kind of adding some little streaks of fabric with my pointy brush. So it just looks like little fabric softening towards the edges, just lightening it up. And I want to paint a little pumpkin on in his arms. So I'm going to get a little bit of orange. And I'm going to paint a little pumpkin here. And when that dries, I'll add a second coat. Now, as the background is drying, I should have added some more white in the background. So I'm going to take my larger flat brush. I'm just going to take a little bit of a light gray. And I'm going to add a little bit more lightness to the background. So I'm just going to add a couple little streaks of light, just giving it a little bit more highlight between the branches back here. And you can blur it out with your brush. Just do a little scrubby technique. I just like to scrub it, or take a little paper towel and just kind of blur it out. The little scrubbing. So we can give it just a little bit more highlight to that distant forest. So I'm just going to add a little tiny bit more light to that distant forest. You can add some little highlights to our trees. Some quick little barky textures to that close-up tree. Maybe some little highlights of the branches above. Need to get rid of this little blob that I did. I don't know what that was. Okay, and now I'm just going to add the finishing touches, which are the little eyeballs. So I'm going to get a little tiny pointy brush. Little stem for my pumpkin. And I'm going to put a little bit of shadow and highlight on my pumpkin. So there's a little tiny shadow. Now for the highlight, since he's going to be kind of a glowing guy, I'm going to give a little bit more of a raw sienna and a little bit of white. And just put a couple little pops of highlight on here and making this pumpkin look a little bit more opaque. And there we go, pick of the patch. There's our simple little ghost with a very, very dark, simple background. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. And if you wanted to see more paintings and lessons in their full length of all different subject matters, then you can look into joining my inner circle and paint with me live every month, as well as have access to my full painting gallery where you can learn how to paint all throughout the year. All right, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.